We are live. Welcome everybody. Sorry for the delay there. I couldn't find my other wireless pack thing that I wanted to use with the guitars, so I guess we're not going to be using that. Let me just sync this up. Welcome everybody. Let me just pause this. Alright, we've got Dylan, Todd, how are you guys? We've got Lefty Mike, Jamal, Dystopia, morning mate. Alright, yeah, it's always the way. Every time I go to set up, there's something I can't find. I need to just put a box aside with all the crap for live streaming so I don't make that mistake. Alright, I thought I'd break the guitars out today. We've got a few behind me. Thought we'd mix it up as we go. Take some questions, have a play. I played live last night. It wasn't my finest hour. I was in I don't know, you play sometimes and nothing flows, so I figured no time like now to play some more guitar. We've got Antonio from Spain. Welcome, mate. 50-something, welcome. Surfer B, how you doing? Cool. So I'm going to crack open a can of caffeine here while we begin, and then I'll take some questions, have a play. So today's poison of choice is the Rockstar. It should be the Blues Man can, but I don't think that would sell too well. Dylan says, when can I expect to see a video of you relicking a Flying V? Well, if you buy one, mate, I'd be happy to relic it for you. So that's the Marshall DSL. I got a whole lot of different profiles at the moment as well. I've had a chance to try some other amps, and I've stored them in this little guy over here, so we can mix up the tones as we need to. Is this the anti-Game of Thrones channel? Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. I don't watch it, so I'm just oblivious. Ooh, all right, we're gonna have to sit the Flying V way. Here we go. You might not get as many viewers tonight because the Game of Thrones is on. Yeah. Oh well, that's just one of those things. It doesn't bother me at all. We'll go live anyway. I don't really care for TV much, so I hardly watch it. But I know that's got a huge audience, so maybe next time we'll switch the day if it doesn't work out. But either way, it's fine. Is that on right now? Is it? It's like 11 a.m. here. Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, I never got suckered into that show. I hear it's addictive. Alright, so I've got a couple of guitars behind me. We've got the PRS SE, the Artist Guitars 335. It's been sitting there for a while because it doesn't have a case. And we've got the Harley Benton Deluxe Tele back there as well, which I'm actually really enjoying. I have a feeling, though, the tuners on it, I don't know. I want to restring it first. I want to double check that. I haven't put new strings on it yet, but it for some reason sometimes I pick it up and it's out, which is odd because none of the other guitars are like that. So I'm a little bit overexposed as well. I might just kill the light. We'll see how we go. Must be using the Linux box. I'm not. No, but that video will be up I think next week. Turning an old computer basically into something you can record music with for free. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. I put a lot of work into that video. Hopefully it does okay. I need to still make the thumbnail thing for it. But, yeah, there's plenty of good free software out there which can get people recording or even doing stuff like this, you know, like just getting a guitar to the computer and doing all that sort of stuff. Oh, man, I'm missing the strings. What is it? Anyway, there's some sloppy playing right there. Let me just grab this. We got Melissa, welcome. Been watching your Les Paul Junior DC videos a few times. Thanks, Dan. That's a great guitar, man. I really love that thing. You know, part of me is sort of like, when I was in Denmark last year, was it? Yeah, I think it was in Denmark. I found like a really nice. It wasn't like a junior version. It was the same. I think the same guitar, but with a gloss. At least I think that's what it was from the top of my head. But yeah, they're great guitars, man. I've something about that particular one though that I really like. The neck's big, and yeah, it's a really nice guitar, no doubt about it. I wonder if it should be an early birthday present. No, I shouldn't do that. That's crazy. I don't need any more instruments, man. I got to get rid of some stuff. So some of the like less expensive stuff will be going pretty soon. Would you tell us what your audio video setup is? Yeah, I did a video a little while back on like what cameras I use on the channel. So if you type in like I don't know, I can't remember the title of the video, but just type in like cameras and in the blues into the search and you should find it. But most of the stuff I use on my videos, I got a Panasonic GH5, that's my main camera. I got two G85s, which is kind of like its little brother. And then I've got an FZ2500, which I use for most of the live stuff. The reason I like that camera is it's a fixed lens and I don't have to swap things around. And it's kind of like it can take a bit of abuse, that camera. So I like to, that's like my all-in-one I can take anywhere I go. So that's pretty much the main three cameras I use, the two G85s and the GH5. Now I'm just using a webcam. This is a Logitech webcam. C920, I think it is. And last time I did a live stream, I actually used my GH5, but I thought I'm going to play some guitar today, so I fired this back up. And the best way to do it is this way. It's a lot easier to control the audio going through the sound card. What's the best speaker for a Fender Blues that looks... I'm not sure what your question is there. Cad's Guitar Lessons. You might want to rewrite that, mate. Sorry, I don't know what you mean. Hey, Shane, just scored a THD hot plate attenuator for $275. Have I ever used one before? Actually, I've got one in the other room. It's in my cupboard. I used to have it for the Super Reverb. It was one. It was a 4-ohm one specifically for that, or a Fender Bassman. So yeah, they're pretty good. Thing is, anytime you cut your volume, you lose the oomph of the amp. But it's a handy little way of getting, you know, a good sort of saturated clean channel sound at a lower volume. No doubt about it. What speaker are you putting in a Kemper? I tell you what, it's this Chinese company that sent me a message. I think they're from China. They said we make third-party foot switches for the Kemper. I was like, oh, this could be interesting. It's like a MIDI foot switch. You can use it with, like, I could program it for, I think, the Marshall or anything with that sort of connection. So I'm going to, if it works with the Kemper and I can get it to do a couple of cool things, then yeah, I might actually take it out and try it live. I've never done that before with mine going straight to the PA. And I should also tell you guys, I got my hands on a Headrush, which is also sitting in the other room. If I had more time this morning, I would have hooked that up. But yeah, we'll save that till I know what I'm doing with it. Sold 3 rifles to buy a new Gibson. Have I ever tried any of the Eminence Legend speakers? No, I haven't. I don't know, actually. I'm not too sure. Like, they might have been stock in some of the amps, but yeah, I don't think so. Not off the top of my head. I've tried mostly the Patriot and the Redcoat ones. They're the ones that I like the best. Can we hear it with some clean tones? Yeah, I can dial some clean tones in. It's just not as fun. Let me see what I got. So this is the Artist amp, the little 20. Let's just set the EQ a little bit here. Problem with the patches is some are louder than others, so hang on, just bear with me. That's neck. If it was a Fender, it would stay in tune. It's the famous rule. Or the famous saying. What PC speakers are you putting the Kemper through? So I'm listening to it just in my headphones, but right now I've got the Atom Audio T7V studio monitors. They're pretty cool. For about 12 or 13 years or something like that, I had the Rocket KRK 8s, or the Rocket 8s, which I thought were faulty, actually. I kept getting this buzz out of one of the speakers, and I realized it might have been my stand it was sitting on that was buzzing. And it was doing my head in trying to figure that out. I took the speakers into the other room and put them on a table, like a glass table. And I was trying to work out which one was buzzing, and I couldn't find it. So I reckon it might have actually just been the stand it was on, which is really, really strange. So yeah, I don't know. I think studio monitors are one of those things. It's whatever you get used to, because the KRK Rocket 8s aren't by far like the best speakers out there. I think they overemphasize the low end, and they don't really give you a true like bass response mix on their own, especially the big cone, the larger cone ones like I had. So I learned how to mix with those in comparison to like taking the mix, putting it on something else, and understanding like what I was listening for. And I think any speakers like that, but these Atom Audio ones so far make mixing a lot easier. They're way more balanced, even though they're not maybe as high end. They sound better. Hey, Cheddar, far out, man. Thanks, dude. Editing a video, so can't stay, but you're all... Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. So, yeah, thanks, man. Far out. Check out his channel, guys, if you're a guitarist, you want to see Cheddar do some stuff. That's awesome. Thanks, man. We're trying to get him into the Flying V Club at some point. Right. Far out. Thanks, man. We got Wally's World from the Bronx. Welcome, mate. DP says he just bought a USA PV Delta Blues. When I crank up the volume, I keep getting a popping and volume cutting in and out vibrations from the tubes. Have you ever experienced a problem like that? I haven't had that exact problem, but what I have had is lots of reverb tank problems with those amps, especially the newer ones. I think the trick, it would just be the valves. That'd be most likely what it is. I'd be surprised if the transformer's faulty. So the good thing about the Blues Deluxe, the PV Delta Blues is you don't need to bias them. So just get a full set of JJs. That's all you need to spend money on. Don't blow too much money on valves. It really doesn't make that much difference. So just get JJs and get a set of those and put them in. You should fix it. If it's something else, I'm not a tech, but that fixed a few problems with mine. I think when I had my second Delta Blues, I had to replace at least one valve with JJ's, and I ended up swapping a pair of them. So can't wait to see the Headrush. Well, I got to hear it in the live mix last night. I'm going to hold off mentioning what I thought about that until at least I do the video. But it's an interesting piece of kit. I think it's maybe... There's a lot going on. The layout is pretty good. I reckon it's not too bad how they've got it laid out, but it's for a very specific sort of person. I couldn't foresee myself already using something like that at a gig. It's just too much stuff. At least straight to the... Anyway, I'll save up. I need to actually use it first, so we'll get to that. If I lower the boost, the compression to a minimum, do I have a boost pedal? Well, yeah, you can. You can use, absolutely. Compression pedals are also volume boost pedals. You can use them like that, absolutely. So just crank up the volume. You know, people call them sustainer pedals or lead boost pedals or anything like that as well. So, yeah, the more compression you have, the less dynamics you have, which means you're squishing your signal. If you open that back up, it's going to be a whole lot more volume orientated. So, yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to a better tone here. I'm not digging this. Let's go to... Should we go back to the... Let's do this. I haven't used this one for a while. Where is it? I should have just loaded up my software. Would have been a lot easier to find. Alright. JCM800. That Junior Special DC single cut range is getting confusing. Yeah, there's a lot of options, you know. I think like imagine trying to remember all of Fender's brands, all their range of guitars, man. There's just way too many. I don't know how shops bloody come up with names for it, man. It's just there's too many like things to put into the computer almost. There's like 50 different guitars every year, which is a good thing too, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff to try to remember. There's just too many models. But they do that so they can sell something at every price. I think Gibson is starting to do that more. You know, you can always get their Maestro guitars from Walmart too. Les Paul had the headstock snapped and then I glued it back together myself. Oh, well done. Far out. Yeah, look, I'm going to be pretty careful with this. This is, you know, I don't know if this has the same sort of issues as some of their other guitars or not in terms of if it falls, but, you know, trick is just to not let it fall. And the great thing about a Flying V, you can stand it up without a stand. Well, I'm not going to get tangled up, but you put it on the floor just because the bottom edge is kind of, you know, square-ish. It's not square completely, but it's rounded, but it has a lot of surface area, so you can stand it up against your amp, and it's not gonna go anywhere, which is really great. Phil says, "Hey Shane, have you tried?" Oh, just scrolled up. Let me go back up. Oh, sorry. Matthew says, "Have you tried the Boss Nextone amps?" I haven't tried them. I have seen them. I just haven't plugged into them yet. I need to give that a shot. Some of the guys at the shops weren't overly impressed by them. They said they're okay, but they're a bit overpriced. That was kind of the vibe I was getting on it. But I need to try it myself and sort of see, because, you know, not everyone likes the same stuff. Hey, Dylan, thanks, man. Far out. You don't have to do that, mate. Far out. You're already on Patreon. Keep up the good work. Thanks, mate. Guys are way too generous, but thank you. It'll go into the caffeine fund for the rest of the week. Thanks, man. It's the first time I've actually played the V in a couple of weeks. Oh, not a couple of weeks, maybe like a week and a half. I haven't been playing quite as much. I've been shooting a lot of videos, and which I still play, but for the videos that I did shoot, I didn't actually use this, and it's great to get on it. Last night I actually took the CST-24 out and took that out to the jam and had a play, and yeah, it was fun. But I kind of wish I had taken this. Now it's great. It's top end, man. Here's some Albert King licks for Cheddar. A V-Sound Stella. I got a Lefty SG, and it's my current go-to. The SGs are good guitars too. I've never felt that comfortable playing an SG, but I appreciate them. Like they're great guitars, tone-wise, and they're light, all that sort of thing. They're really good. Let me just go back up here. Sorry, I think I missed a whole lot of stuff. Tracy says, OMG, I got a V like that this week. Awesome stuff. Congrats. Can't go wrong with a bit of flying V action. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to get one of these. I actually showed my mum a photo of it yesterday for Mother's Day. I was like, hey, I got this about a month ago. I forgot to show her. She's like, what is that? But yeah. Getting cold. What do they usually do for headstock repairs? Yeah, it's usually like a glue, and they probably use some sort of I know they clamp it and all that kind of stuff as well. Look, I've never done anything like that before. I had to repair a headstock. I don't know if I would even bother unless it was something old. You know, or if I could just get the neck replaced, I'd probably end up doing that. Yeah. It depends on the brake too. If it can be fixed and it's just a little bit, that's fine. But if it's something that's going to reoccur as soon as you like put tension back on it, then yeah, it's a tough thing to want to fix. I don't have the tools and the know-how to do that either. Oh, the Tokai Love Rock's actually under my bed in the other room at the moment. So, yeah, I don't have it on. Oh, no, it's in the cupboard over here, but it would... Yeah, you don't want to see that side of the room. All my tripods are blocking my cupboard. How many copyright laws of the broken? What's your opinion on the matter? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but what I'll do, I think I know what you're talking about. So I've had weird and mixed things happen with the copyright thing on YouTube. One thing in particular was I recorded a blues track with my friend Drew from Drew's Drum Tracks, and he played drums, I played bass, and I played guitar, and it got claimed, even though I produced the song. So I took it down and I made a twist on the bass line, and it was fine. So I've worked out ways around having issues with any copyright stuff. And I don't play covers 90% of the time or more on my channel. I play all my own riffs. They're all my own songs. So much like Pete Thorne, even though I'm not in that sort of league of musicianship, I saw that coming as well. Like I'd had a couple of strikes in the early days playing Red House and a few other things. And I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, and the first time we played like full-blown cover stuff was when Rick was on one of my videos, and he was playing AC/DC, and it got hit straight away. Got hit as soon as it got uploaded. So I was like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's just one video. But yeah, look, there's a lot of things about that suck for a lot of people, especially there's no recourse, I guess, for, you know, false claims. You're dealing with the person that issued the claim. So they need to fix that. That's a huge problem. But in terms of my channel getting hit for copyright issues using other people's stuff, just doesn't happen. I don't play a lot of other people's stuff, and if I do, it's a twist on it. I don't usually play it in the same key. You know, there's times where I've probably done some of that, just played riffs, but yeah, look, it doesn't really affect my channel, and because most of the stuff I play, it's my own stuff. They're all my own riffs, like all of that stuff. Oh, got my tone off. You know, all that. It's just a twist on one of my songs, you know, all that. There's a whole lot of riffs that I play, like those sort of chord progressions you've heard over the years. They're all my own songs, and I chose to do that rather than playing everybody else's stuff, and I'm glad I made that decision. Have you sold any of your guitars? I have, yeah, absolutely. I've sold plenty of guitars over the years. I've had a lot, and I've sold a lot, and especially amps. I probably had 30 amps, and all of which I purchased. So yeah, I went through a phase where I was trying to find the sound, and all I realized was it was coming down to the playing. It had nothing to do with the amp. Or it did to some extent, but it's more about if you're playing well, everything should sound good. Pathfinder 15R, yeah, they're great little amps, absolutely. Wayne says he got flagged and all of his content is original too. How are you, man? Yeah, it sucks. You've just got to try to appeal it, I guess. Look, they're gonna have to do something about it, because the thing is, the reason why they probably won't is YouTube will have to hire a lawyer to go through all of these claims, and it'll be it'll bleed money. I think YouTube have positioned themselves where they're not really. They've kind of, they leave it to the claimant. You know, they've put themselves in a position where they don't have to do anything, and it's probably the most financially viable thing. I don't expect the platform to. I don't really trust the YouTube platform, to be honest. And this year I'm working hard on a few other things on the side right now, just in case things do go bad for the channel. You just never know, right? So, yeah, I think this will be the year where other things will be the source of income as opposed to YouTube. And I'm starting to sort of balance things out a little bit there. So we'll see how we go, and that's not to do with like the Patreon stuff or anything like that. I'm actually setting up some other things at the moment, and I'll share that with everybody once it's all done. And it's not lessons or anything like that either. So yeah, we'll see how we go with that. I like to try to expand the bag of things, and yeah, the way YouTube's going right now, I went to have a drink and I put it back down. The way YouTube's going right now, I don't actually really trust it, which is strange, at least not in this niche. I'm building my tech channel as well, which I really like. I'm putting 2 videos up a week there now. Just in case, you know, as well as I friggin' love that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to try and diversify a little bit more, and I think just putting everything into one thing isn't a smart move. I've known that for a long time. But now, I think the thing with me is, like, I like to learn a lot before I do something, and I've spent, 60 hours or something learning about certain things, just to, outside of YouTube, just to try to start doing other things. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Let's have a sip of this. Cads, I'm really impressed with your videos changing stock speakers for the Fender amps. Which do you think works best in the Fender Blues Deluxe amp? Oh, the Eminent Swamp Thing. I love that speaker. It's been in there since I've put it in. I did try the Texas Heat in there, which was a good speaker too, but the Swamp Thing's the best. It keeps the Fender vibe. It's loud. It's clean. You won't have any speaker distortion. It just means you're going to have to EQ your amp differently. So don't use the same settings you had with your stock speaker. It's going to sound so much better if you won't need as much top end and you won't need as much low end. They're really great. Just a really great Fender sounding speaker. So yeah, the Swamp Thing would be my top choice. And I'm absolutely loving the Texas Heating the Marshall. I played it again last night. It was just unbelievably good. Yeah, I don't hoard any of my gear. If anyone who knows me out of making videos, they know I have no hesitation selling stuff I don't use. Just don't care. I'd rather move it on and have someone else use it than let it sit in the cupboard. And I'm getting to that point now where there's, I did sell the artist, what was it called? The Grunge Master. Wasn't getting played. That last go round of the 6 cheap guitars, 1 blues thing I did was pretty much a send off to a few of those guitars. Not all of them, but a few of them. Any Hughes and Kettner fans around? I really like their Tubemeister amp. Their little combo. I thought that was a great amp. It's a real shame that the recordings we did of them didn't come up as we were hearing them in the room. It was like the mic placement was terrible, and it just didn't have the same sound we were hearing in the room. They're a great little amp. I'd love to get like a 30 watt one of those Tubemeisters. I actually think they're pretty cool. And I said to the guys from Hughes and Kettner, I always thought you made shred sort of metal amps. So there's never been anything I've considered playing or looking into. I know I've seen the Airborne Chicago a couple of times. They're awesome. I know I've seen Airborne in Chicago a couple of times. Okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, is it the band you're talking about? There you go. Tracy says, I have a Swamp Thing in my Deluxe 112 and it's fantastic. Yeah, they're a really great Fender amp speaker. No doubt about it. They got the right sort of sound. You don't want to... I always think when you put a speaker in an amp, you don't want to lose the essence of it. Like you can completely change the sound of the amp more so than doing anything else just by changing the speaker for good or bad. And it's just about finding the right sort of tone or right speaker for that amp. And usually if you play it safe, if you just go, say, if you're buying an Eminence speaker, for example, or whatever, you get the American voiced ones. They usually work the best in, the Fender amps and all that kind of stuff as well. And sometimes you get the red coat ones, put them in a lot of English amps, you can get that sort of sound. But the Tonka, while it had that sort of sound, it was just too heavy. And the Texas Heat went back in, and it was like, oh, this is really good. So sometimes it doesn't matter. The way I sort of look at it is, if something's too bright, you look for a speaker that knocks out the tops, and vice versa. If you're not getting enough top end, find a speaker that has enhanced, clarity in the tops. Make sure you find the right one. I've done this time and time again just by listening a lot and seeing, all right, so can I compare this to that? What are the differences? Just on YouTube videos, for example, and going, okay, so this one's got clearly less tops. I look at the graphs, and then I just make a decision and hope for the best. There's always that hope for the best. And now that I know how different the Texas Heat and the Swamp Thing sound, I know how different or what type of amps they should generally go in. So if one's blisteringly bright, like my Marshall, put a Texas Heat in there, it's going to sound great. I just missed the question. Let me just pop this chat out. Actually, it's going to be easier. I keep only seeing a small section of it here. Let me move this down. Hey man, I got a Boss Katana 50 watt amp and want to know why it doesn't sound too good with my pedals. Am I doing something wrong? You bought a modeling amp. Modeling amps don't need pedals. You use the stuff that's built in. I said this a million times with the Fender Mustang amps. You just don't run pedals into it. You're not really gonna get any benefit out of it. The only way it might work is if you run dead clean, and then you turn off every other effect on the amp, and then you try it that way. But they're never gonna respond anywhere near as good as a PV Bandit or any valve amp with pedals. It's not gonna happen. People can say, "Oh, I use it with my pedals and I love it," and that's fine, but it's still not gonna sound as good as a transistor or solid state amp like a Fender Deluxe Plus 112. You know, any number of other solid state amps, the PV Bandits, the Boss, what are they called, the Roland Blues Cubes, all that kind of stuff. They're a better pedal platform than a Katana. Mate of mine's got the Katana. I think he's got the 100, and he tried it with a Tube Screamer, and while it works, it doesn't sound like his Music Man RD50 with a Tube Screamer. So yeah, it's a completely different amp. Just use the stuff that's built in, and you'll get the most out of it that way. Oh, Jamal, man, what are you doing? I'm going to refund you after this, mate. Let me scroll down here. I might have missed this, sorry. Just because, thanks for all your great work. Oh, man, far out. You're a madman. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Far out. Jamal, awesome stuff. Cheddar as well, thank you. Yeah, guys. And Dylan, too. Thanks, man. Did I miss another one before? If I missed anything, I did too. James, far out. Sorry, mate. Oh, James, thanks again, man. Far out. Every time I pop the chat out, it scrolls and I miss stuff. So, oh, God, sorry, mate. If you had to choose to sound like on a Flying V, would you choose Albert King or Lonnie Mac? Albert King. Yeah, I don't really like Lonnie Mac's tone, to be honest, a whole lot. I love his voice. But a lot of the recordings I've heard and the stuff that I've got, I'm not as blown away by his like his playing's fine. There's something about Albert King's not when he got really old, but back before that when he was playing in the pocket. You know, he's got a great, he's like all those guys. They're not only their note choice was great in their capacity of what they could play, but how they executed their licks. And Albert he was right in the pocket a lot of the time. You know, I used to love listening to that stuff. Still do. It's just the way that, you know, he just execute his... Yeah, he's got just a great attack. And I like the phrasing as well and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Lonnie's great, but he's never really been high on my list of guys that I really aspire to sound like. Also, because I haven't heard enough of his stuff too. That's what it comes down to. I think, you know, you hear something and you go, "Oh, I'm not a huge fan," and then 20 years later or 10 years later, you hear something, you go, "Who's this? This is great." And it's like that guy you didn't listen to. I'm like, So that actually happened to me with a band called Mofro. I remember hearing them and I was at a job I hated, and I was like, I don't really like this band. And then I heard it when I was driving out in the sun. And I was like, "This is great. Who's this?" And it's like, "Oh, this is that same band." So yeah, it comes down to what you can, you know, the time and the place and what you listen a lot to. So I probably haven't heard enough of Lonnie Mac, but over the last couple of days, actually, I've been looking at his YouTube videos, and you know, great vocal. I love his vocal, but yeah, his playing and tone's not really my sort of, not quite what I dig, but he's still great at what he does. Jimmy's V, yeah, absolutely. There's another great player, no doubt about that. All right. Go over to Vimeo. Nah, look, I'll just keep doing my thing on here, and if it ever gets to a point where, you know, it's causing enough problems where it's not worth my time, hopefully by then I'll have other things sorted out. You know, like I've been doing my own thing now for years, so going back into like my old kind of work is something I could probably do, but it would require me to probably catch up on a lot of stuff because I've been out of it for so long. But yeah, I already know now, like in the next sort of 12 months, I'll have enough other stuff going on that YouTube will be back to, you know, it won't hopefully affect me if things go bad. That at least that's the plan anyway. I think a lot of YouTubers. I was talking to I won't name anybody, but I was talking to a few other people that only do YouTube stuff, and yeah, I can see their stress as well. They're getting hit way harder than I am, and like I said, I've only been hit a couple times, and it was for stuff that I produced, so it sucks. So yeah, thanks again for the super chat, Jamal. Far out, man. We've got another one. Holy, what's going on, guys? Matthew Black says, is there a vintage or collectible... I'm not laughing at your question, by the way. I just saw something else. Matthew says, Shane, is there a vintage or collectible guitar you aspire to get one day? Yeah, I always wanted a Flying V. I wanted one that I loved, and I've kind of found that, and that's awesome. There's a few guitars one of my only regrets, in a way, was selling the Gibson Gold Top that I had. It was loaded with P90s. It was a VOS one. I really liked... Excuse me, sorry, far out. I really liked that guitar, but it was just too hard for me to use in a lot of the places that I played, so I sold that. I think one guitar I'd love to get... I don't know if there's a vintage one in particular, but if... I'll have to have a think about that, mate. That's a good question. In terms of vintage ones... You know what? I might get one of my birth year at some point, like a 79 something. That'd be fun. But I can't really give you an old... I've played a lot of old guitars, and I've been really underwhelmed with a lot of them. They don't play as good as the new ones a lot of the time. You know what? There's one guitar I loved. It was a Jerry's Lefty Guitars. It was 1950s or early 60s ES330 with P90s. Beautiful guitar, man. That thing was awesome. So that might have been sort of like top of the list of guitars, but that, I think that would sell for around probably 8 or 10,000 US. So yeah, look, in terms of other guitars I've really got my eye on, I love that Les Paul DC. The double cut is just something else. Oh man, Todd, thanks, man. I'll get to everyone else's questions in the middle of all of these. God, guys, this is insane. Thanks for the support, everybody. Far out. I don't ask for the super chats, and it is appreciated. Thank you. This is blowing my mind. Hey Shane, this is DSL at Knox Cash Converters going for a great price, $550. That's not too bad at all. Anything I should consider when testing it out? Try and knock more off the price. That would be my consideration. So, what I would do is just make sure that see if it comes with the foot switch, because they do. The DSL 40s all come with their own foot switch. If it doesn't, you could maybe hustle some extra cash off that. My other suggestion would be just turn it up a little bit and listen, and play a note and just let it ring out and see if anything rattles, like valve wires in the back. If there's a lot of like glass sounding, like rattles that sound like glass, then you probably need a new valve. But I haven't come across any of those yet with the DSLs. My only other thing to check too would be just make sure the effects loop button is working as well. I think you might actually have to have something plugged into it if you don't have the foot switch for it to be able to turn on and off. But they're great amps, man. I can't recommend them enough. And thanks for the heads up. I should... a mate of mine, actually, he played my DSL last night, and I played his Music Man, and he was like, I'm going to get one of these. I'm going to sell my katana and buy a DSL. So if you're thinking about picking that up, Todd, go get it, man. That's a really good deal, $550. You'd probably get it for $500. I wouldn't be surprised if they even knock it down further. Cash Converters, if you're serious about buying something, you can sometimes get up to 30% off. That's usually how that works. So, yeah. Thanks again, Todd. Far out, man. That's this is crazy. We got. What do I think of the? What do you think of the new Gibson V? I like Gibson Flying Vs. I have no problems with any of them. This was just the one that ticked all the boxes for me, both how it felt to play and all that as well. So yeah, it's just it's funny. I used to only want to buy guitars with fat necks, But this particular one it doesn't have a fat neck, but much like the PRS behind me here, the SE, it's easy to play. And I love the fact it's so easy to play. And I don't even think about the neck size anymore. And I've completely changed my outlook on what I'm looking for. It needs to be this, otherwise I'm not interested. I just play it a bit, and if it feels good now, that's all I need. I love the going out of tune in the cold room thing. Yeah, Vimeo is not really a good alternative to YouTube. I think their model isn't anything that's really going to ever work. Not in the state it is. There needs to be another company that, like a massive company like Microsoft or Amazon or something that makes a very comparable format to this, where it's incentivized for creators to want to move there. That's the only way any of these other video platforms can compete with YouTube, because if people are making their living off doing this, like I am, or any of these other YouTube channels that you see, whether they admit it or not, that's how they're making their living, right? So, or at least part of it. So, yeah, unless you're a small channel, but any of the larger channels, people do it because they love it. And I've always made videos and done all that kind of stuff since I was a kid. And it was something I always wanted to do. Like, creative stuff for me is more fulfilling than fixing other people's problems, which was what my old IT job was. There's nothing wrong with working in that industry if you get past where I was. It's a really lucrative industry, but for me, it's just I get more fulfillment out of creating something from nothing, and it's a good challenge if you've ever tried working for yourself or coming up with or even recording an album or doing anything creative. Once you get something from nothing, it's a really motivating thing, and a lot of people don't ever get that feeling. At least not maybe at their job or whatever. And I just got so frustrated that I had to take a chance. I saved up a year's worth of rent, and I left. I left the #1 company in the world to try doing this, which everybody thought I was nuts. But yeah, I was like, no, it's an easy decision. It's time to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, I'll go find another job. They've asked me back 3 times. I'm like, no, no thanks. So, hey, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. He says, I'm a nice bloke and good muso. Thank you. As is the community here, guys. Far out. Like, I'm pretty lucky. I see the odd stupid comment come through, and I just have to shake my head. But, yeah, not on the live streams, by the way, just in general. Once your channel reaches a million people a month, that you do see some strange comments. A lot of people comment on old videos like, oh, how come you didn't shoot this in HD? I'm like, it was 2006. Like, there wasn't HD. But yeah, Dr. Rick or Dr. John, I saw that comment before and it made me laugh. Man, I tell you what, no offense to Dr. Rick, I'm going to pick Dr. John. His band is just the best. One of the best bands I've ever heard next to James Brown. If you ever get a chance to see Dr. John's band, go do it. It'll be the best investment you make. He's super funky. If you don't know who he is, if you hear him for the first time, you go, I don't know if I like this guy's voice. He's got a real raspy New Orleans kind of. He's got a really thick accent, and it's just a strange vocal, but it's super funky. And I couldn't imagine anyone else singing his stuff. It's so good. Ben says, hey Shane, does Harley Benton Guitars have a US distributor that you're aware of? No, they don't. No one else resells their instruments, but they do have an international shipping arrangement somewhere. So I don't know exactly where they come from, but you can shop at, if you type in Thomann International, I think that's what it's called, you'll find that link. It's a different website to the DE one, which is the European-based or German-based one. So try that, and it'll help, I think, save costs on shipping. I'm pretty sure. Any of the links I've got in my videos of the guitars are those links in particular. So that's an easy way to find it. Let me go back up. Have I tried any of the tube emulating amps like Blackstar ID, TVP, or Boss Nextone? don't think I have. Look, some of that stuff can be okay, but I always say, like, if you're playing live, there's nothing better than either a valve amp, like a proper valve amp, or a good solid state amp. And a lot of people will disagree with the solid state amp thing, but solid state amps are great. There's nothing to stop you. I gigged for years and years with a PV Bandit. I had everybody laugh that I had this red striped metal looking PV Bandit, and it sounded great, right? So there's nothing wrong with solid state amps. I think when you, I guess, look, tube emulating amps, PVs kind of go into that because they've got that whole. They're not a digital format amp though. They're an analog one. So that's the difference. I think if it's an analog sort of emulation, then you're okay. But sometimes some of these tube emulating amps might not do what you hoped they do. Especially if you compare them to, say, something that actually has valves in the back. There's so many really great inexpensive amps out there that you can find on the used market, or that you can even buy new, that are great. So if your only consideration is maybe I want to save a few bucks by buying something that has valve emulation in it, or tube emulation, then you can almost find a valve amp now for the same price. There's a lot of great options out there. Oh, thanks again, James. Far out, man. Who's the player on the poster of the Flying V 2012? So that's Michael Burks. He's one of my favorites of all time. Look up a song called Empty Promises by Michael Burks. He is unbelievably good. There's almost no one better than him in terms of, if you like Albert King, you'll love his voice. He's kind of got the voice of Albert King, but he's a monster guitar player, real blues rock guy. He can play all the traditional, Stevie Ray sort of stuff as well, but he can just dig in and rip. He's a real blues rock guy. Just Michael Burks. He died, I think, 5 years ago. Just an unbelievable. So Empty Promises was like it helped reignite my love for electric guitar when I heard that song. So yeah, check it out. It's got it all. And I tell you what, he plays a Strat as well, and it's loaded with active EMGs. And I'd be like, what? Are you serious? And it sounds unreal. And the amps he used to play were Dr. Z. And I saw that long before they were popular. He was using them for a long, long time. And I remember being so close to buying one sight unseen from a shop. Like, I'd never plugged into it. I was like, oh, I've got to get one of these amps. Like, two of my favorite players are using them. Brad Paisley and Michael Burks. Very different sound, but I knew that they were good. And I got warned that they were like ridiculously loud. Like 30 watts is just insane. So I can only imagine how loud Michael Burks played. Surfer B says, you put a lot of time and hard work in, Shane. I followed you going back a few years, and I'm happy for your success. Thanks, mate. It's weird, like, I still try to make the videos that appeal to people that have been watching for a long time, and I always try to do something a little bit different as well, whether it's starting a new series or coming up with a different type of video format or improving the audio and visuals. And to be honest, I would have thought the channel would have grown much more than it has. It's weird. I think my playing's improved over a few years ago, not when I'm just noodling around like this, but in the videos I really make it a point to cut a really great intro track and keep the standards high. I really do try to do that, but I can also see what trends well on YouTube as well. I mean, I did that 5 quick questions video and it had 20,000 views overnight, and I put 11 minutes into filming that and 30 minutes into editing it, as opposed to putting 7 hours into a video that gets 2,000 hits. So there is a way I could build the channel really quick, but I like to make the content that I enjoy too. So I just think about it like, I know there's a bit of a fan base now for Guitar Search Saturdays. I've got another series I'm going to start pretty soon. I'm going to try and get some help filming it because I can't be doing it all. It's just too hard. I need someone behind the camera. And that series will be better than Guitar Search Saturday. I'm actually really excited. I actually ran the idea past Robert Baker, and I hope he doesn't steal it. And he's like, man, that's a great idea. So I said to him, if I get a chance to meet up with you this year or whatever, we'll shoot an episode. And he's like, done. So what do I think of Guitar Shorty? Now, that's a name that I know, but I don't know if I know a lot of songs from him. So, sorry, Peter. I'm not 100% certain off the top of my head if I know much of his stuff. Metalhead Hippie, welcome, mate. I'm looking at getting an Orange 120 Pro 212. Cool. Orange amps are great, man. Like, I kind of dismiss them as well, much like Hughes and Kettner. Like, oh, I'm not going to play those. Those are for shredders. Not that there's anything wrong with shredding, but I'm not a shredder, so why would I play one? And then I played one. I was like, man, the clean channels on this are unbelievably good. Like, it's better than a deluxe reverb on some of their amps. Some of their clean channels are just stunning. There's a 30-watt one I played, I think, or a 20, and it was one of the best little tube combos ever. Turn the clean channel up, and it killed everything in the room. So there's so much great stuff out there. A lot of people, like, and myself, make the mistake of not trying stuff just based on preconceived notions, maybe. Hey Terry, we'll let that message go through, mate. It might be for. Hey Todd, just reply if you're typing your email in, mate. I'm happy for you to have that if someone's asking for it. But if it's just going up for no reason, just we'll keep it blocked. We don't want you getting spammed either, mate. Am I using the channel to promote your playing, or are you playing to promote the channel? Back in the early days, it wasn't really like. I've still got CDs, but you never see me flog them or want to sell them or anything. I don't do that. I got a cupboard full of them, maybe like 2,000 CDs, and that's no joke. So yeah, 4 albums of 500. Oh, I won't have 2,000 left, but there's probably about 1,000 of them in there. But yeah, I don't really promote my music on here. I guess I could, but I don't really like selling anything all the time on videos. Every now and then I'll promote something that I've got, but I don't often do it. For me now, I play because I love playing. I still gig. I don't gig every week, and I don't really want to do that either. I still like to do other things, but I love, playing with guitars. I love talking to people. Any of this stuff is fun for me. The whole filming process, as big as a job as it is when you start shooting, more professionally, and I'm not saying I'm a pro at it, but, having 3 or 4 cameras in videos and syncing up the audio and doing it properly it's a big job, but I enjoy it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I'm one of those guys, if I get sick of something, I just stop. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not going to do that for a while. I did that with guitar for a while. Some time ago, I stopped playing just for a bit. I wasn't getting any better. I wasn't enjoying it. Nothing I did sounded any good. And then I was like, all right, it's time to learn something. So you force yourself out of those ruts. And it happens. It happens every now and then. I'm just like, I'm playing and I'm not into it. I've lost the love. And then it comes back. So yeah, in terms of, I don't really promote my music. I do have one album, which I'll flog now on this, but it's called This Drive. And that was the last album I did. And that's on everywhere. You can get it on Spotify and iTunes and all that as well. You go to shanesband.com. There'll be a link there if you want to check it out. But I used to sell everything through my band website. I used to sell a few CDs from time to time, but usually what I do now is any of the Patreon subs who buy stuff, I'll just chuck a CD in the case or something every now and then as well, just as a thank you. So I should just do a mass giveaway of those things. So Les, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that, mate. Says, my shout. That's awesome. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. This has been a crazy live stream. Yeah, I didn't expect this at all. So, yeah, thanks, guys. Super chats are not something I always forget about it, until you go live and then you get one. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. See, Australia's mentality is very different to, and other countries as well. We don't really do the whole tip thing. So this is a very, American-centric or European-centric sort of thing where, to some extent, not all European countries, but you know, you're tipping people and giving back. It's a cool thing, and I use it as well. Like if anyone's ever seen me on other YouTubers' channels, I'll drop them a few bucks as well. So if I enjoy their content, and it's a cool little thing to have. It's just, it always still shocks me that people do it, and I do appreciate it. So thank you. Jamal says listening to Michael Berkson, yes, he's the real deal. Absolutely, man. There's nothing better than a bit of Michael Berks. A regular star says, I recently discovered your channel and was surprised how little subscribers you had for the quality you have here. You deserve more. You'll get more, I'm sure. I think you'll get it. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the thing with my channel, which separates it from a lot of the others, is the views. I'm lucky I've had a lot of views on the channel. And that's, you know, even if the subscriber rate doesn't match the views, it doesn't really matter. It all comes down to how much people are watching it. And I think there's a lot of videos on a lot of websites as well. People are checking out pedals and all that sort of stuff. So I've had, you know, a lot more views and a lot more prominent channels. By like, go check out how many views I've had. It's in the 60 millions versus, you know, a lot of channels might have double the subscriber rate, don't have as many views. So I kind of feel lucky like that. I don't look at it just as subscriptions. I know a lot of people that come back and watch the videos would be people that have seen videos in the past, but they're not subscribed. It doesn't bother me either way. I always wondered, like, back in the old days, whether or not it mattered how many subscribers you had and what is the advantage of that. You would think it would be like an immediate sort of viewership on your videos, but I almost don't think that's the case. Like, it's odd because some videos go out, and even if you have 100,000 subscribers, only 10% or less will watch it, which is odd. So how does that work? Maybe the interest isn't there for every video. And that's why a lot of channels grow just by doing like dialogue videos. And that last one I posted was a great example of, I took 5 quick questions and bang, it hit 20, 30,000 people in 2 days. How did I hear about Michael Berks? That's a good question. I think I just found him on YouTube. He might have been playing with somebody that I was looking up, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Who is this? It's funny thinking about how I found Michael Berks. I don't know. I don't know how I found him. I got no idea. Empty Promises was the song that got me hooked. And then you go through his catalog and you're like, man, this guy's unreal. You know what it was? I have a feeling I was looking up Dr. Z amps and I saw him play one. It might have been a related search or something. So that might have been how I found out about him. Who are my main influences? I would say most of the people on the wall at different stages. You know, early on, I loved Eric Clapton and Muddy Waters, and you know, Albert King is still I'm a huge fan of. Robert Cray. I went through these stages where I played a lot of, you know, in the style of those guys. Albert, BB, you know, Freddie to some extent, but I was never as big a fan of his playing as I was Eric Clapton's, even though Eric took most of his licks. Freddie's voice was always great, but I was never as impressed with Freddie's sort of timing and execution as I was with the other Kings. Not to say he's not a great player, but yeah, I was just me personally. And later on, you know, JJ Cale, once I found him, I was like, this guy's just unreal. And he's playing less than everybody else, and he sounds great. And Mark Knopfler, Mark Knopfler was instrumental in me wanting to play guitar. He was one of the first guys that I heard the whole play something, sing something thing. And I liked it. I didn't know why. I'm like, I like how he can play something and then just, you know, play a lick and then sing again and then play another lick. So that really appealed to me as well. So those guys would be definitely some of my favorites on the wall back here. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there were other guys too. Like back when John Mayer did his trio thing, I really liked that. But you know, Chris Kane he's actually in Australia right now. He's up up there. He's by far my favorite blues player right now. Him and Tommy Castro are just, really great players. Hey, Metalhead Hippie, thanks, man. Far out. Listening to Rory Gallagher. Nice. Another monster player who I haven't heard enough of. I've only seen a few videos online. He's one guy that I just don't have any of his music for no other reason than I just haven't. So, yeah. Have you ever played or reviewed the Rockbox boiling point pedal? No. I think I've done one Rockbox pedal over the years, but yeah. Michael says, hey Shane, welcome mate, by the way. Are you planning on uploading more live performances / jam sessions? Enjoy that a lot. Yeah, there will be more. I was actually talking to the guys last night about that, so I just really need to get on to booking that at some particular point in time. It was really enjoyable. We'll get a few different players in this time as well. My friend Brian, who is a wizard. We call him the Wizard. You reckon you've heard great guitar players? Wait till you hear this guy, man. He's a freak. He's just great. He can sing great. He can play great guitar. He can play great saxophone. He's on a different sort of level when it comes to improvising than the rest of us. A lot of us play licks that we know and runs that we know. Brian just makes everything up as he goes. And you won't hear him play the same 12 licks 55 times. He's something else. If Brian had more self-confidence, mate, he'd run rings around most of the guys on the wall. Who else do you suggest me to listen to if I love Bonamassa and Kenny Wayne Shepherd? I'd go back to like Allman Brothers and stuff, man. Like, listen to some of that. That would be... try to find who inspired them. I mean, like, Kenny Wayne Shepherd was pretty much a Stevie Ray wannabe. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, that was his style. He tried to, very early on, at least, with his blues playing, he wanted to do that sort of, have that sort of sound. He probably still does that now. I haven't listened to him in a while, but he's got some great music too. I've actually got one of his albums, but... go back before those guys, find out who they listened to and who they sounded like. But Bonamassa's done blues shows where he's tributed all the kings. So go through some of their stuff as well. Freddie, Albert, and BB. That was a great lick. How about that? That's the jazz. When you forget what key you were playing in. Michael says, Empty Promises was the first song I ever heard of Michael Burke's and I got hooked. Yeah, guy's just unbelievable. There's a live version of Empty Promises that is just unbelievable. It's just crazy good. There's a couple that he's not playing with his regular band that are uploaded and it's not, they kind of screw it up. But if you find his main band, some of that stuff is just really, really good. Ed, welcome, mate. How are you? We got Paul says Danny Gatton and Gary Moore would be two of many. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, both those guys are unbelievable players. Here in Turkey, I cannot even use Super Chat. It's sad. Unfortunately, you're nice enough to read all the comments. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I try my best to read them. Sometimes when I get talking, it's hard for me to see everything that's going on, but I try to get back to everybody. Knopfler is unique. Yeah, he's just unreal, man. He's the gift that keeps giving. A lot of people stop listening to stuff of his after Dire Straits, but that's when it got great. I love Dire Straits too, but Yeah, his playing is just something else. Yeah, you can't break those rules nowadays. I play a lot of wrong notes. Buddy Guy's great one. Absolutely, Buddy Guy's awesome. Buddy Guy live was fantastic. Some of the best shows you'll see of any blues guy is his band live. They're unbelievable. Matthew Black says, I like Roy Buchanan, but I always wish he'd play his tally a little bit less at times. Yeah, I've got to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of his tone. I was watching a clip of him, Roy Buchanan, who was the guy we were talking about earlier with the Flying V, Lonnie Mack and a few other guys, Albert Collins, sorry. Albert Collins is another guy you should check out. Albert Collins is unreal. And yeah, that tally tone, man, it's not my kind of sound. A great, phenomenal, creative and inventive player, but definitely not my sort of tone. That it's too bright. I almost feel sorry for anyone who has to sit in front of a Fender Twin up on about 8 with a tally bridge pickup just blaring in their ears. But at the same time, it's probably pretty awesome. Buddy opened for BB in STL about 10 years ago. Is that St. Louis? I'm not sure. Saw it and Buddy bought the house down. Yeah, he does. He's so good, man. I've been to Buddy's Guys Legends before as well. It's a great little club. Yeah, it's right in the middle of Chicago. I can't remember the exact name of the street. It's on Wabash Street maybe or something like that. But yeah, it's cool. All right, so Terry says we've got 57 thumbs up and 103 people here. So let's see if we can get it to, let's go for 75. If you haven't given the video a thumbs up or thumbs down, please do so. That'd be awesome. 70 minutes already, far out. All right, we'll probably wrap it up in the next 15 minutes. I just want to say thanks again for everybody supporting the live stream. It's been crazy. Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder what Jimi Hendrix would sound like today if he was still with us. And that's the thing, like a lot of these guys, or some of these guys didn't get a chance to make really average tunes. And they would have, some of them would have moved with the times to some extent. And I think, like you try and think of Jimi Hendrix's tone, and there's so many different sounds, right? Like he would have just kept experimenting with stuff, whereas you hear some other guitar players and they've got a really distinct sound still. So I wonder which way he would have gone. And much like Stevie, would he have written, pop ballads? You never know until you just never know how it would have sort of worked out for him. Hey, Robert Baker, welcome, man. Roy Buchanan was such a great player, but that trill tally bridge would shriek a little too much for me on some songs. Yeah, absolutely. I think when people see a flying V, Matthew, and there's no metal, that's when you get the thumbs down. Show you guys a tone, and this is a amp that I don't know if I like at all, and this isn't to belittle anyone who may have one, but I had a chance to test the PRS Sonzera, and it's a strange sounding amplifier. I want to show you guys what it sounds like, at least on the Kemper here, because I profiled it, and it's pretty confusing. I'll actually load the software up so I don't have to turn around. Let me just see if I can get this to work. PRS amps have this like fuzzy sort of drive channel. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm sort of on the fence whether or not I even release the video. It's just not very nice. I don't know how else to tell you. It just isn't kind of what I I would ever want to play, and that's fair enough. I mean, you know, it's good on them for making something different, right? But let's check this out. Where is it? Have I not set it to my favorites? Where is it? All right, I'll do it manually. Hang on. Damn. I don't know, man. Let's crank the treble up a bit and see if this helps. See what you think of this. It's just a strange sound, eh? It's like you can hear the note and then the fuzz tone follows it, and that it's funny. The Kemper can kind of replicate that. It's a really strange feeling when the note is ahead of the distortion. I don't think I'll play this next time. This Flying V sitting down. It's a bit weird, but look, the tone's okay, right? But it's just strange. It's a big wall of sound, which is kind of fun. That part of it I like. I like the fact that the amp has as much gain as it does, but it's a strange kind of tone when after you've been playing other amps, you go over to that and you're like, oh, this is odd. Let me go back up here. I just missed some stuff. Yeah, the PAFs are great, man. These are the burst buckers, which are, I guess, pretty similar to that anyway. And yeah, the burst buckers are just really cool. Hendrix would have gone jazz. Imagine him collaborating with like Knopfler or doing some stuff with Clapton as they were old guys. That would have been awesome. Kirk says PRS amps are pretty mediocre and disappointing. Anyone else remember how awful Gibson amps were? I didn't really get to play a lot of Gibson amps, unfortunately. I played some Epiphone ones, but yeah, I don't know how to feel about the PRS amps. I can see who they appeal to. They've got a nice clean tone, but like every amp has a pretty nice clean tone. So they're not really like blowing my mind with how great they're clean. You know, that is easy to find on any amp, right? But in terms of the drive channel tones, I don't know. It's geared towards, I guess, people who might want to rock out a little more, fusion players or something like that, and that's fine. But I found like as soon as I turned up the gain at all, it was too much. Like it was like, oh, geez, where's that off clean tone? No, you don't get it. You just get that. That is the off clean tone. Man, my hands are so cold today. Check it out. I don't know if you can, it's probably hard to tell, but they're like gone white, which doesn't make for a fun guitar experience. I paid for a power soak Bugera attenuator so I could crank up the tubes with my Fender Blues Deluxe amp. It hasn't arrived yet. I'm told it will work great with the amp and it'll work with the 150 watt Swamp Thing. Awesome stuff. Cool. So hang on a sec. You bought, is that power attenuator to go between the speaker and the amp? Is that how you're running it? Because you can get effects loop ones which cost like $10. They're not quite as good, obviously, but yeah, if you're going to be going in between the speaker, that's definitely a good way to go. I dig that tone. Thanks, man. Have I ever tried playing the V with Albert King's tuning? You know what? I didn't even know what he tuned to. I didn't know he was tuned any differently at all. I always thought he played either standard tuning or half a step down. I know Albert Collins had interesting tuning. It was like E minor tuning or something like that, or F minor tuning. He never actually played straight, you know, E to E. It was something else. Although E minor tuning would be E to E, but you know what I mean, like standard tuning. Yeah. So no, I don't really mess with tuning much. I have enough trouble as it is. I really want to start to get out of that. I used to. There was a time I tried the whole drop, like E flat tuning, and yeah, look, it didn't really make that much of a difference to my ear. You know, some people say it makes it easier to sing songs, and I don't know, it just confused me. So yeah, for me, it wasn't something that I was going to try. Hey, Randy, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Just donated $1 twice. Maybe the second one was by accident, but thank you, mate. I do appreciate that. Thanks for the support. Killer Grizzly Tone. Yeah, it's an interesting sort of thing. I'll tell you what, just before we wrap it up, I'll change guitars. Sorry about my throat. I was singing last night, and I'm a little bit under got the husky thing. It sounds like I'm sick, but I'm not. See? You can stand the flying V up. How great is that? Let's grab this. We'll go full shill mode. YouTube shill mode. PRS Sonzera amp profile. PRS SE. And I just dropped my pick. Let's grab another one. Oh, yeah. How about that? I'm not going to lie, this feels a lot easier to play sitting down. Not keen on the distortion. Yeah, me either. This is why I wanted to show you guys whether or not what you thought of this tone. I'm not a big fan of it either. Go grab my PRS t-shirt, guys. I'll be back in a no, I'm just kidding. Let's go over to the Joyo Zombie. I profiled this through the Marshall the Marshall 2x12 cab. Really pokey mid sound, very much like a Studio 22. It's kind of cool. Jamal says, if anyone here hasn't listened to this, go ahead and listen to the Big Fun album from Miles Davis. Think if it was Hendrix. What's the weather down there, Shane? Bet it's warmer than Chicago. It's probably warmer than Chicago, but my room in here is freezing. Oh, it's not freezing cold. It's cold. Thanks, Robert. I saw that message, mate. That's hilarious. You can leave that there, mate. I don't care. Can I reinstate that? That's hilarious. No, I can't. I'll just put you in a timeout, Robert, all right? No more of that. Cool. I'll tell you what, guys. We might wrap it up in just a minute, but thanks so much for hanging around. If anyone has any last-minute questions or whatever, feel free to ask. Sorry about my playing today. It's the hands mixed with the lack of quality playing the last week has been an interesting thing. Every time it's cold, I struggle. What a tone. What key I'm in. What's going on today? All right, there we go. Tom says, oh, by the way, I've had like a million requests to get Keeley pedals. Everyone's like, oh, have you tried this one? Have you tried that one? I was like, all right, I'll send them an email, see if they want to send anything out. I've got 3 on the way. So I can't remember which ones exactly, but I gave them a list of the ones that I like the look of. And I thought, I'll leave it with them. And they said they were sending a few out. So, which will be great because, you know, I had an average experience with one of Keeley's pedals a while back. I've mentioned it before. The Seafoam Chorus was like the noisiest pedal I'd ever tried in my life. It may have been faulty or whatever, but yeah, I had so many people ask me about that. So stay tuned for that. They'll be coming up once they arrive, obviously. I've also got the, I borrowed off my friend Dom, not the Line 6 Helix, what's it called? The Headrush, the Headrush. It's out in the other room, so we might do a couple of videos about that, maybe compare it to the Kemper as well, and a few other things, and sort of see how that works and what I think of it, and if it's something that somebody will get use out of as well. I think these kind of units, whether that all-in-one digital thing, appeal to certain people and not others. So I'll give you my take on that, and it's just what it is. It's just an opinion. So that'll come up once I know how to use it and operate it, and once I get my engineering degree, I'll come back and I'll sort out that particular unit. All right, better prepared, and I'll move it a day forward. So we'll do it the time we started today, but tomorrow, so we don't conflict with the Game of Thrones cult, which I still haven't actually seen any of their episodes yet. I need to sort of get in. I think my problem is, like, I'm really impatient, so I'll just wait till it's done and then I'll watch them all. I'll just spend 3 days and not sleep and probably go through all of them. But I haven't actually watched any of those episodes at all. That's how much of a hermit I am. All right, guys, rock on. Have a good day. And yeah, I hope you're all well. And we will catch you... Oh, I'm going to move this over. We'll catch you on the next one of these. Stay tuned. I do have more content coming up this week as well. A good mix of stuff, including maybe one of the best small practice amps I've ever played. So, yeah, that should be interesting. No phone required. All right, guys. Take care. I'll catch you soon. See ya.